The emergency dispatch received the call at 3:14 a.m. on a Tuesday. The audio was recorded, cataloged, and eventually sealed. What investigators would later piece together began with this exact recording.
911, what is your emergency?
Someone is in my house. He's standing in the hallway.
Sir, are your doors locked? Can you describe the intruder?
I checked the locks. I always check the locks. He didn't break in.
Can you tell me what he looks like, sir?
He looks exactly like me. But his posture is rigid. And his eyes, there's no light in them.
The line went dead. When police arrived 11 minutes later, they found Arthur Pendleton sitting at his kitchen table, drinking a glass of water. He apologized for the false alarm, claiming he had experienced a severe night terror. The officers left. They had no reason to suspect that the man sitting at the table was not Arthur Pendleton. To understand what happened, we have to look back 3 weeks earlier. Arthur was an actuary. He was a man defined by his routines. Every morning at 6 a.m., his alarm went off. Every morning at 6:15 a.m., he placed his coffee cup on the exact center of a cork coaster. He was the sort of person who blended in perfectly with the gray upholstery of his cubicle. That Saturday, Arthur deviated from his routine. He took a different route home and wandered into a pop-up antique market. The stalls were cluttered with strange artifacts. Behind a table of tarnished silver, a tall man in a dark blue shirt and a fedora tipped his hat. "Welcome to the market, my friend. Spells and sorceries, trinkets and charms. We have it all. I'm just looking." Arthur's eyes locked onto a heavy, iron-framed mirror. The glass was strangely opaque, reflecting a slightly distorted, pale version of the street behind him. He bought it for $40. He told himself it would add character to his sterile apartment. That was the last decision he made with full information. The wrongness began subtly, the kind of thing you explain away at the time. On Tuesday, Arthur found his keys on the left side of the entry table. He always placed them on the right. Must have been distracted. Work has been stressful. On Thursday, he woke up with a scratching sensation in his throat. He went to the bathroom sink and coughed. What came out was not phlegm. It was a thick, black clump of coarse hair, tangled in dark saliva. What the hell is this? He stared at the hair in the sink. His stomach dropped. But then he rationalized it. I ate at that cheap diner yesterday. Probably just some bad food. I need to drink more water. He washed it down the drain. He did not look into the antique mirror hanging on the wall behind him. If he had, he might have noticed that his reflection blinked a half second after he did. By the second week, the physical symptoms worsened. Arthur felt a constant, heavy pressure in his chest. His skin grew unnaturally pale. To distract himself, he downloaded a dating app. He matched with a woman named Alexandria. She had striking features and dark, almost purple eyes.
You seem tense, Arthur. You should relax. Let me take your mind off things.
I've just haven't been feeling like myself lately.
You're perfect just the way you are.
Alexandria was attentive. Too attentive. She knew he took his coffee black before he ordered. She asked about his sister Sarah by name, even though Arthur hadn't mentioned her. How did you know my sister's name?
You must have mentioned it on our first date. You're so forgetful lately, Arthur.
He accepted her explanation. He wanted to believe it. He needed a distraction from the growing paranoia that someone or something was watching him in his own home. One evening, Arthur walked through the park near his apartment. The streetlights flickered. He stopped. In the shadows between two large pine trees, A pale, round face hovered in the darkness. It had no distinct features, just a porcelain, rigid smile. "Hey! Who's there?" The face did not move. It simply stared. Arthur's breathing went shallow. His legs moved before he decided to run. He sprinted back to his apartment, locking the door behind him. He checked it 3 times. It was just a prank. Some kids in the park. Just a prank. He went to the bathroom to splash water on his face. He looked into the antique mirror. The reflection looking back at him was not wearing a panicked expression. It was smiling. A stiff, rigid smile. No, this isn't real. I'm losing my mind. Arthur stumbled backward. He grabbed his phone. He scrolled through his messages with Alexandria. He needed someone to tell him he was sane. He looked closely at a photo she had sent him earlier that day. It was a selfie of her in a kitchen. He zoomed in. The coffee maker. The specific pattern of the tiles. It was his kitchen. She had taken it from inside his apartment while he was at work. Oh, God. How long has she... The pieces fell into place. The moved keys. The hair in his throat. Alexandria's impossible knowledge. They were not disconnected events. The mirror wasn't just a piece of glass. It was a door. And Alexandria wasn't a distraction. She was the anchor, keeping him occupied while the thing in the mirror slowly pulled itself into his reality. Arthur heard a floorboard creak in the hallway. He backed into his study and picked up the phone. He dialed 911.
911, what is your emergency?
Someone is in my house. He's standing in the hallway. Arthur watched as the figure stepped into the dim light of the study. It wore his clothes. It had his face. But the skin was a sickly pale white, and the eyes were deep, empty voids. The entity opened its mouth, and a thick mass of black hair spilled out, dripping onto the floorboards. "You're not needed anymore, Arthur." The line went dead. When the police arrived, they found Arthur at the table. He was polite. He was calm. His posture was perfectly rigid. 3 days later, Arthur Pendleton quit his job. He packed his belongings and moved out of the city with Alexandria. The police never found any evidence of a struggle in the apartment. The new tenants who moved in a month later complained about a foul smell coming from beneath the floorboards in the study. They also complained about the plumbing. The bathroom sink was constantly clogged with thick, black hair. No one ever checked under the floorboards. Arthur Pendleton still sends his sister a birthday card every year. The handwriting is unusually neat